Hey everyone, welcome to another Sunday Nights with Faye Seidler. We have a great show tonight. We have a ton of material to cover. If you like the work I do, please share it with other people. The more informed we are, the better that we can change the world for the better. So help me do that by informing others of the stuff we do today. At time of recording this episode, tomorrow will be Martin Luther King Jr. Day. This is a time to honor and celebrate the legacy of one Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There is an event locally at Concordia where everyone is welcome to attend. There's also one in Bismarck, and there might be one in your community that I'm not aware of, but it's time to go gather and celebrate this legacy. If nothing else, you can take the time to look into what that legacy is, because it's often much more than the sanitized version that we get on the day-to-day. It wasn't simply looking past the color of our skin, but it was going into much deeper intersectional issues of struggle, whether it be through issues like income inequality, racism, how we treat people based on how they're born in any capacity. There's also looking at one of his chief complaints was not the struggles against the oppressors, but the way that allies would often impede any kind of progress by attempting to keep peace in systems that were oppressive. Martin Luther King Jr. died while doing work for unions in worker rights. So when we think about his legacy, it was not simply this idea of we should treat each other better. It's an entire system of understanding that we are all together in trying to fight systems of oppression that tend to impact all of us one way or another. Work that has always been important but is becoming more and more important during our current federal administration. On Tuesday in Bismarck, there is going to be the school meal ballot volunteer kickoff campaign. This is put on by Together for School Meals. Keep in mind we do have an emergency legislative session happening, and they're actually looking at passing a bill that is accomplishing a lot of the goals that this ballot is setting out to do. However, that won't put it into our Constitution. There are pros and cons to that, but I want to address it. I want to say it's still worth attending these meetings, even if ultimately we don't even fight for it to be a ballot, because the more people that understand the process and how to get involved within our democracy and the civic engagement here is important. So I recommend going regardless of what ends up happening. In other important opportunities, on Wednesday at 11 a.m., there's going to be a QPR, that's a question, persuade, refer training, put together by NDSU Extension. This one is going to be focusing on agricultural communities in particular. I'm actually attending this one because I'm interested in the specifics of it, as well as needing to get my certificate again for QPR training. But it's something that you can attend, and there is a ton of different kind of suicide prevention trainings that happen all of the time. If you're interested, and I hope you are, let me know, and I'll let you know when the next one is. And the last thing I have for events coming up is the I Voted sticker contest is now open and will close January 23rd. It's really, really important that you vote for this sticker, because there are some ones that are silly, and if they win, that is very cringe for North Dakota. So please vote for the vote sticker. Please let common sense prevail. If you look at the stickers, if you know, you know. Like, it's we gotta win this fight. So vote now for that. Get ready to vote. The sticker context is a proxy war for the 2026 election, I swear. Like, look at them. In really exciting news, there's a children's book that just came out last month. It is My Body Safety Rules Help Keep Me Safe. It's a children's book used to teach youth about healthy boundaries and how to recognize safe adults. This is one of those critical tools to have an age-appropriate conversation with kids, to be able to, process this information in a way that isn't scary. The author, Lindsay Burkhart, is a local activist within the world of preventing child sexual abuse and is a phenomenal advocate for that. I have been in their trainings, and they have personally connected me to this material in ways that make me see it as part of my mission in life to make more kids safe from this kind of harm. So it's really cool that we have an opportunity to have a children's book from a local advocate and author. I have a link to the Amazon. You can purchase that book. I am excited to get it to learn more, and I'll tell you about it when I do. But I just wanted to highlight that because I think it's cool. I want to highlight the Awesome Foundation, as I like to often do, because they give $1,000 to anyone across our community if they have a community initiative idea that sounds cool and seems like it's going to be uplifting for our community. You do not need to be a nonprofit. The one that they are celebrating this month is about an individual that is trying to put together the remnants of Modern Man's children's book that they were developing. Modern Man was a kind of community folk hero in some ways, as far as I understand them. I didn't know them personally, but when they passed a couple years ago, there was a big community response from that. From my understanding, they're just kind of a cool alternative person that lived very much themselves in ways that inspired others too. So check out this story. It's really cool. If you knew Modern Man, this is another opportunity to look at and pay tribute to them. And also, Awesome Foundation, send that out, celebrate it, and let people know about it because it creates opportunities like this. In exciting news, the Fargo Public Library is celebrating 125 years of service. They have a few different events around that, but they always have events going on all the time that I like to share. Just want to let you know it's a thing that's happening. In terms of celebration, we also have Paradox Cards and Comics being recognized for the 2026 Broadway Monument Award. This award is recognizing the contributions to organizations that make downtown Fargo better. And I can tell you, as someone who grew up in Fargo Moorhead, I went to Paradox Cards and Comics as a little kid. As a tiny tot, I was there playing Magic the Gathering 6th edition. Like, that's how that's how far back I went. So it's always been a staple in my life, and it has always been something I appreciate continues to be a staple, especially as a lot of businesses across Fargo and downtown Fargo close. Like, other ones open, but a lot of the ones that were there during my childhood aren't. I think Rich, the owner in particular, has done a great job at cultivating a community across decades. Seeing people grow up and being a figure in their life is just incredible, and to see them being honored with this is amazing. I have a soft spot for celebrating community. I have a soft spot for people who make their life in a place and, contribute to the people around them. I think that's all incredible and beautiful, and that's what we are as humans. So I think this is really cool, and I wanted to celebrate that. As a heads up, Fargo is offering a new outpatient addiction program for teens. It'll be the only one of its kind in Fargo, so I have to imagine that means it's the only one in North Dakota, unless Grand Forks has something. I think teen addiction is something that we don't necessarily take seriously as a society, even if professionals do, because we often think about teens smoking or drinking as, like peer pressure or, appearing cool. It can be that, but it can also be the same serious impacts that we imagine with adults that can impact a lot of their life and become coping mechanisms for trauma that's unaddressed. So I'm glad that we have this going on and that it signals that we're taking some of this stuff more seriously. I want to let people know that the League of Women Voters has put out a civics curriculum. I can't say that word. I'm not going to try. You're going to get the first time I tried saying it. But this is something that teachers can take to use as a tool to teach their students more about civics. So like if you have a government class, this is a tool that's kind of put together. It's also something that individuals can just look at themselves, as anyone who is more civically informed is more able to exercise their voice and hold democracy to account, which is required for a functioning democracy. So this is really cool. Please share and promote it where you can. I want to briefly highlight Indie Compass. I talk about them all the time. I am a fangirl, maybe their only fangirl. Like, I know people appreciate them, but fangirl is its own category, right? And I love the stuff they put out. Their newsletter is actually really fun. It's cool. It has a lot of data in it, stuff I don't know about. And it's super accessible. Like, it's for your lay people to go check out things. It is incredible. They talk about the research methods on this article that I'm sharing. But you can find so much cool stuff there. If you like data at all, if you like data systems, check them out. They are amazing. So that's my fangirling for Indie Compass, as I often do. A survey came out showing that 4 in 10 teens support cell phone bans in classrooms, while even fewer support bans across the entire school. This is showing that there is significant pushback from youth that they do not like that this has happened and it is disrupting their lives and what's going on. I think it's worth knowing that some youth it's not. 40% of these youth think this is really good, and I think it is for them. And I think one of the problems is a lot of policy people are pretty privileged, which means that their kids are probably living lives where they get fed and access to mental health care and are impacted by the disruptions of cell phones, whereas the cell phones are something that other youth who are coping need them to be able to focus and stay alert in class. I think every kid has different needs, and I think any kind of top-down approach is not going to help all the kids, right? This is bigger than me. There's so much that goes into this, and I really try to be balanced and fair because I know I have a bias in this piece. I am very much against these bans. I'm not against some solution. I just think that the whole cloth throw phones away type approaches are bad. And I think that you need something to replace what phones were doing. And it's not just a matter of the phones were the problem. So this is a story, and I'm trying hard not to just air grievances or anything, but I think at the end of the day, I'm just saying let's put more thought into this and let's try to help kids out more. Let's just keep on doing that, and I think I'll be happy if that's the case. In good news, Planned Parenthood actually got their funding restored from the federal government to the amounts of tens of millions of dollars. This was funding that was held hostage, just not given to them. There was a lawsuit where they tried to get the funding back, and then before the lawsuit was settled, they just got the money back. So maybe they'll get it, maybe they won't in the future. Who knows? But I wanted to let you know that not just for Planned Parenthood, but for the fact that a lot of times when organizations sue the federal government for funding cuts, like we're seeing all across the nation, the lawsuits are successful because it's often the executive branch denying funding that the congressional branch approved, that Congress approved. So it's unfortunate that often it's blue states that are benefiting from getting the money that they were allocated, and red states are just eating the costs. Please think about that. Talk to your representatives about it and let them know that they can stand up to the federal government when the federal government is hurting us. So that's what I got for that story. I guess I meant to talk about this too, but it's also kind of a different thing. The federal government said it was going to cut $2 billion in funding for suicide prevention, basically cutting an entirety of so many programs across the nation. And they said, oops, never mind. Like 12 hours later, it was a mess and a nightmare. And I'm not relieved that the funding is still there only because what? When, like, is it going to be gone next week? Like, I'm happy it's not gone, but the circumstances don't allow me to feel any level of appreciation, just terror that things are going to get worse. So that's a thing that happened. Hopefully it doesn't continue to happen, but who knows? That's a story I'm reporting on. Then finally, I just want to share a story and encourage you to check it out. It's about some of the perspective from our Somali community and Somali refugees in light of some of our current stories happening right now. The Trump administration is rescinding some of the protections they had for refugees of Somali individuals in our area and, well, in our nation. But not just that, there's also just been the Minnesota fraud story, which has become a hotbed of being very xenophobic and racist to Somali individuals, despite it being maybe 100 people in Minnesota, and we have thousands of Somali residents existing across this state who are not in any way responsible for any of that. In fact, there are a lot of Somali individuals who are American citizens, who were born here, actually, and they are being told to go back to their country, and yuck, like, gross, like this, boo, I don't know. So I just recommend checking that out, and if you do have individuals who are Somali within your life, to maybe check in on them and how they are doing, because there's been a lot of pressure, there's been a lot of racism and prejudice, there's been a lot of hostility, and it sucks to live with that every day. Like, the minoritized stress of living with that and wondering what's next is difficult. So also maybe give these folks some slack if they're in your life too, and maybe are stressed the F out. So I guess that's what I got for the end of my story there. As always, I have so many more stories on my weekly report. I've redesigned most of my website. It looks so fetch now. You're going to love it. You should check it out. If you have stories for me, I'd love to share them and promote them as much as I can. I think that we get to tomorrow by supporting each other, and that's really what my show is trying to be about, is bringing up these stories about informing folks of our community and how we can support each other in it. So I hope you survive another week, and if you do, we'll be back here hopefully. You have a good one, everyone. Bye.